Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Coming up, a debate among climate advocates about how Denver is trying to convince you to do your part.
It's a waste of money to tell people to do something that they aren't able to actually do.
Then, we're living longer here in Colorado. We dig into the data and ask the experts why.
So sometimes it's better streets or better access to groceries, education in schools, access to healthcare.
Also, some mayors in Colorado say they've hit a dead end with the Postal Service.
We just want our number back.
Hear why Congress is getting involved in a battle over local zip codes. It's Wednesday, July 30th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Denver is spending $3 million to convince you to take more individual action against climate change. But the campaign is dividing climate leaders in the community. Some say it's a big waste of money. CPR's Sam Brash talked with Arlo about the debate.
Sam, what do these ads look like?
So the campaign is made up of ads plastered on billboards, bus shelters, all over social media feeds, and it has this tagline of do less, do more, do something. That's often featured next to these stylized green and blue portraits of people. There's other messages that kind of have uplifting things like not today, apocalypse, or doom crossed out into the word do. Very clever Don Draper type stuff here. And then it's linked to this list the city put together of ways to take action. You know, think about like walking, riding a bike, installing an electric heat pump in your house.
So the goal is to get more people to be environmentally friendly through ads.
Yeah, the explicit purpose is to make climate action seem more visible and widespread throughout the city. Elizabeth Babcock directs Denver's Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency, and she says this campaign is especially important amid all the federal pushback on climate action.
We need to show our community that everybody is supportive, that we are moving forward, we are moving in the right direction, and this gives people hope, and it gives people a way to engage in a way that's more fun and exciting and different than what you might expect from government.
And who exactly is paying for all of this?
So this campaign is funded by a 0.25% sales tax Denver voters approved in 2020 that generates about $45 million a year for different climate projects in Denver.
Oh, so we are paying for it.
We are paying for it. If you live in Denver, you are paying for it.
And what exactly has been the response to the ads? Do climate advocates think it's a valuable way to spend public dollars?
So some do, some don't. Denver offers programs like e-bikes, heat pump rebates, and those incentives only work if people know they exist in the first place. Supporters think this campaign could help spur interest in those existing programs and just tell people that, yes, their tax dollars are actively helping fund climate action. But other advocates see this campaign as a giant waste of taxpayer money. Jill Locantore leads the Denver Streets Partnership. That's an organization that advocates for better bike lanes and transit options. Here's her thought on the city asking her to do something.
To tell people you should walk more? Like, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that transportation is one of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. A lot of people want to be able to walk and bike and take transit more. The reason they don't is because it's not safe or practical.
And this gets at a long-running debate among climate advocates and climate scientists. What's the best way to tackle this huge collective problem? Is it better to push people to take steps to cut climate warming emissions on their own? Or is that just a way for governments and corporations to dodge accountability?
Right. It's great to carry a reusable coffee mug, but does it really matter if big corporations continue to produce greenhouse gas emissions?
Exactly. And I think it's important important to note that they're aware of that debate, but the city is saying, like, look, it's still important because it creates a sense of shared responsibility. And then they'll support the city efforts to take bigger, systemic, collective action to solve these problems. We'll see if that works.
CPR's Sam Brash, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coloradans are living longer. That's according to new numbers from the state health department about deaths in our state. Overall life expectancy here has made a significant jump in recent years. CPR health reporter John Daly is here to help explain what's changed and why. Hi, John.
Hi, Bozzy.
My first guess is this has to do with the pandemic, when we did have a lot more deaths.
Yeah, that's a big part of this. During the pandemic, there were sharp increases in COVID-19 deaths, but also in overdose deaths. Colorado has recorded more than 15,000 COVID-19 deaths alone. And the state's life expectancy dropped from 81 years to around 78 and a half. That's a lot, right? Just for some historical context, here's Dr. Eric France, who was the state's chief medical officer at the time.
The last time life expectancy dropped like this was in 1943, which was the most fatal year of World War II for the nation. So it is tragic that we see life expectancy drop. Death rates increase by 20%.
20% more deaths was a lot. It's a stark reminder about just how frightening that early part of the pandemic was. So now that we are post-pandemic, are we recovered, at least in terms of deaths and life expectancy?
We can see a clear rebound back to around 80 and a half years. That's according to 2024 numbers issued by the state health department. You might ask, why? Why the change? Well, one reason, COVID-19 vaccines were effective. Nearly 4 in 5 Coloradans got immunized with at least one dose by the end of 2023. And Dr. Anuj Mehta, a pulmonologist, says he thinks that helped.
That's a sign of how well the vaccines have worked and the fact that most people have had COVID at some point. So if you get reinfected and have either had COVID or have had all of your vaccines, you're really unlikely to end up in my ICU.
So COVID-19 deaths have been dropping sharply. Additionally, last year, Colorado also saw declines in deaths across a variety of categories, including unintentional injury deaths, car crash deaths, and those drug overdoses. Those were down 14%, and overdoses involving fentanyl were down nearly 31%. Suicide deaths, we should note, did not change significantly.
Fewer overdoses, fewer homicides. Those are certainly encouraging numbers. What's the reason for those improvements?
You know, it's not exactly clear. Perhaps some of this is due to broader post-pandemic societal changes. Another factor could be a steady and large infusion of federal funding to say things like violence prevention and better education and wider availability of the overdose reversal drug naloxone, that's also called Narcan. Here's emergency physician Dr. Emmy Betts, who does research on injuries and prevention.
Public health is really about the work of the whole public, about promoting the health of the public. And those are broad approaches. So sometimes it's better streets or better access to groceries, education in schools, access to healthcare.
Is the gain in life expectancy for all Coloradans? Are all groups doing better?
In general, yes. Hispanic and Black Coloradans saw bigger declines than other groups like white and Asian Coloradans during the pandemic. But the figures have improved for those populations. And life expectancy is higher for women, and that shows up consistently. Last year, Colorado women outlived men by more than 4 years.
You mentioned federal funding earlier. We're now expecting to see some big cuts to programs like Medicaid and SNAP. Could that have an impact on life expectancy?
For sure, it could. And consider the controversial changes by the current administration to vaccine policy and decision-making. Altogether, these things could erode the broad progress that's been made in recent years. Maybe they'll make things better. There's definitely a fear among some doctors and public health experts that I've talked to that the erosion of these things could show up in Colorado's death data in future years.
John Daly, thank you.
You bet.
Just like your phone number or birth date,
Zip code.
Zip code.
your zip code is an essential number.
Zip code.
Your mail will get there better.
This is a radio ad from the 1960s when the Postal Service first introduced the zip code system for sorting mail.
Zip code.
Make a mailman happy.
Well, today they are mail carriers, and 60 years later, some Colorado towns are not happy with their zip codes. They want lawmakers to force the Postal Service to give them new ones. CPR's Caitlin Kim is in Washington, D.C., where she covers our congressional delegation. One member from Colorado is trying to make new zip codes through a new law. Caitlin, who in Colorado would like to have new zip codes and why?
Well, Bazi, there are 15 Colorado communities that are included in this new bill being considered in Congress. They include the town of Silver Cliff in southern Colorado. Mayor Buck Wenzel says the U.S. Postal Service removed the town's old zip code in 1991 and made them share a zip code with the neighboring town of Westcliff.
We lost our identity. I mean, back in the late 1800s, Silver Cliff was the third largest city in the state of Colorado. We just want our number back, 81249.
I can see how it's nice for a town to have its own unique zip code, but is this just about a town's identity?
No, Wenzel and other mayors I spoke with said their biggest concern is actually about money.
The loss of sales tax dollars is devastating for my little town.
You see, these days, Bazi, zip codes are used for other things besides sorting and delivering mail. They're also used for sorting tax remittances, especially for online purchases.
And these days, there are a lot of online purchases.
Exactly. It's become an important part of a community's revenue. The mayor of Castle Pines, Tracy Engerman, told me that sales tax dollars from her city sometimes go to the wrong place, to the neighboring city of Castle Rock, who they share a zip code with.
So our residents are paying sales tax and expecting that sales tax to be utilized in Castle Pines, and sometimes it never makes it to Castle Pines.
Engerman also says the shared zip codes can slow emergency response times when there's confusion about which city first responders should go to. So, Colorado communities with concerns asked the Postal Service to change their zip codes, but they were denied and told to wait 10 years to reapply for that request.
10 years is a long wait, so now they're hoping that Congress can help them. How so?
Well, Silver Cliff used to be in Colorado's 3rd district, which was represented by Congresswoman Lauren Boebert in 2021. Now, back then, she tried to pass a law that would require the Postal Service to give Silver Cliff its own unique zip code, and it didn't really go anywhere. There wasn't enough support for a law that impacted only one small town. So Boebert rewrote the bill, and she added in other towns here in Colorado and across the country. And this new iteration of that bill now requires zip codes for over 70 communities.
And it's very bipartisan, the frustration with USPS, and nothing's really done to solve the problems. And so hopefully this act of Congress will show USPS that we are serious about them serving the American public.
And Boebert's bigger bill has had success in Congress. It passed the House last week with bipartisan support and now heads to the Senate.
Is there anyone opposed to this, opposed to giving these communities new zip codes?
Yes, the chief opponent is the Postal Service. It says it's not easy to change or add zip codes. A USPS spokesperson told me it would lead to altering routes for letter carriers, it would cause delivery disruptions, and it would add significant operational costs at a time when the USPS is losing money and DOGE has been sent in to help it find more ways to cut costs. The USPS basically says these zip code changes are not for better mail delivery, which is the primary purpose of the Postal Service, and Congress should not make it their responsibility to shoulder these changes for other uses of zip codes, like tax collection or, data collection like crime statistics or home insurance rates.
But it sounds like Congress might disagree.
Yes. All members of Colorado's U.S. House delegation voted for this bill. It's not yet known what its chances are in the Senate. Boebert is looking for and talking with senators, she says, to sponsor a companion measure, so hopefully that will help.
CPR's Caitlin Kim reporting from 20515 in Washington, D.C. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you, Bazi.
Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Sarah Mulholland. To stay up to date on what's happening in our state, be sure to follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.